Hello, 8th grade squad. Today you are going to be creating the second poem in your poetry anthology, and it will be a spoken word poem. So we spent a lot of days looking at spoken word poetry and examining it and pulling out devices, and now it is your turn to create a spoken word poem. Now, I'm not expecting the Mona Lisa of spoken word poems, right? You do not have as much experience, maybe not, I don't think, with creating these types of poems. So I'm not expecting you to create something like Nova or Nate, like who we saw in your Louder Than a Bomb video. And I'm not even expecting you to create something that you watched yesterday, like Knock Knock or Hands. All right, but I do want everyone to attempt a spoken word poem. And I'm going to talk to you about the different steps that I think would help you get through this poem. So the first thing you need to do is you need to look at your mind map from last class, and you have to choose one event that you're going to write about. I would like to take this time to remind you that spoken word poems are meant to describe intense emotions or situations in your life. And your poems are safe here. I know I talked about that last time, but I do want to reiterate it again that your poems are not going to be shared with anyone. That's on you. If you want to share your spoken word poetry with people, go for it. It's not my place to do that. So know that your poems are safe and I will not share them. So after you choose your event, you want to write about it in prose. And when I say prose, I mean like a normal paragraph. So like explain what happened. Go through it step by step. What were you feeling? What did you see? What did you hear? What was it like? And explaining it in as much detail in regular writing is really going to help you transform it into a poem. If you are comfortable with poetry and you know how to, establish cadence and rhythm and devices, you can skip this step. There's probably about a handful of you who I think could skip this step. Step number 3 is you're going to take that paragraph that you've written and you're going to start to break it down into stanzas, into lines. You can add more rhythm. If you skipped step 2, this is where you should, start your poem. This is where you should type it. And you should practice. You should read it out loud because spoken word poems are meant to be heard. So the way that your poem flows, the way that it moves, it's going to matter how you say it and how you practice it. And so you'll draft your poem in this space here in number 3. Number 4, you have to record your poem. It is a spoken word poem. It's meant to be heard. And you may use any recording device or software that you want, as long as whatever you produce is an MP3 file. That's an audio file. I do not have to see your face when you create this poem. I use Screencastify because it allows me to turn off my camera. I'm not sure if your Chromebooks will have Screencastify on them or if they let you do that. But you can just record it on your phone as a voice message and then send it to your Google Drive and submit it that way. But it is just an audio recording. So when I listen to your poems, here's a couple of things I'm looking for. Your poem has to be at least 20 lines long, and I'll see that in your draft. There's no time requirement for your poem, but your poem should sound smooth and practiced, and it should reflect the draft that you've composed. Sometimes when you are speaking a poem, your natural rhythm will come out and you might miss a word or skip a beat or, adjust as you're in the moment. And that's fine. So just know that those are the three things that I'm looking for. 20 lines, that it is smooth and practiced, and that it mostly looks like your poem draft. You'll submit this organizing document back to Google Classroom, and you will submit your MP3 file or your audio file of your voice reading the poem. Okay? You have to have both. I have recorded 2 of my own spoken word poems. They're not great. Okay, I do never claim to be a spoken word poet, but I have attempted, as I would never ask you to do something that I haven't done myself. So again, we're just experimenting, we're just practicing, and I'm just looking for your best effort here, to share an experience in a spoken word poem form. It is up to you what your poem is about. Um, and I really look forward to hearing your poems. I hope that you like my poems. Feel free to give me feedback on them if you like them, if you didn't like them, if you have suggestions on how I could make them better. Like, Miss, you should add a simile here. Oh, and notice like that is also not part of your requirement. You can add devices, but you are not required to add devices, right? I am not grading the fact that you have 3 similes or a metaphor, an onomatopoeia. Like, I'm not looking at that. The idea is just to take your experience, put it into a poem form, most likely free verse, add rhythm as necessary, and record it and submit it, right? I hope that you have fun. I hope that you enjoyed this assignment, and I look forward to hearing your poems and getting feedback on my poems. See ya.